Hello, everybody. Tracy Hackler back again with the Roadshow Roundup. The whole crew's here. We got a lot of stuff to get to. But first and foremost, bottom left, Cody Krim, Texas Roadshow. It's your birthday. You're podcasting on your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I just want to show the amount of dedication that I bring to this. So.
It's noticed. It is.
Yeah, no, we've all took note of it. Yeah, very obvious. He's taking notes right now, Ryan is. But without further ado, Trey Huntsman up top middle, Kentucky Roadshow. Ryan and Justin Channels, California Roadshow. Bottom right, lifeblood holding this podcast together. New York Met sporting Kevin Kulikowski of the New York Roadshow. And this is the Roadshow Roundup, where we kind of bring you everything that's going on inside the one store that's open and the 3 other stores that will be open in the next month, 2 months. If you look on the Roadshow Cards Instagram or Twitter today, you saw the newest Walk-In Wednesday, and I'll say
it was a bop.
It was a bop. A
Who
bop?
says that?
Migos, man, they sure do put out some bops.
It was a bop, apparently. But
it slapped.
It did slap. I'll say that. But you'll notice in this version of Walk-In Wednesday that Kevin's shop in New York has had some development. I mean, obviously Cody's has, California has, Kentucky has some development in terms of the security gate, but Kevin's had been an empty room for a lot of time.
Guys, I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag here, right? You ready? I just went in there and moved stuff around because because my contractor now told me either Saturday or Monday, which all right, fine. Like, I guess we'll start soon, maybe. I don't know. But I was so embarrassed that I just went and moved some stuff.
Spilled some paint, moved the ladder.
So when we got the group text about one missing, was that you, the one that was missing?
Of course. What do you think this is? And I literally went there today and was like, let me make this place look messy a little bit.
It looked good.
It worked, and now for our 27 people who listen to this podcast,
there's more than
that. It's gone up. It's gone up.
They'll know
it's more than that.
I lied. But for everybody who doesn't, enjoy your Walk-In Wednesday with that bop of a song by Migos and Drake.
Migos, walk it like I talk it.
That's the story. Sorry, guys.
That's what's going on.
I wish there was more to it, but.
I mean, you could have not shared it, and nobody would have been any wiser.
I felt like I owed that to our loyal AWLs. Like,
yeah. Well, it's special. Your candid nature with our people is special.
Right. I would thank each and every one of you by name, but that would take about 15 minutes, so I don't want to do that.
It would take, if you saw the numbers on the last episode, it would take longer than 15 minutes.
We're pushing numbers. I love it.
Yeah, no, we are. We're not going to get Bucky sponsorship unless we start drawing numbers, and so that's what we're going to do.
We're pushing P. We're pushing numbers. Like Bucky's in the background on that side.
Whatever.
Like, let's do these cards. Yeah.
No, we're going to do the cards. So New York, your contractor is going to get started Saturday or Monday.
Either that or we're fighting.
No, we're not fighting. We're gonna get it going.
Okay.
And so we'll get back to that. Cody, if you noticed his version of Walk-In Wednesday, there is a lot of stuff that has transpired in his shop over the last few weeks. High walls, secret rooms, plumbing is completed. What's the latest update from the soon-to-be Texas Roadshow shop, Cody?
Funny enough, I actually have like a more of an exact date update, I guess. But essentially, the city is coming out for what will be their last inspection before the final inspection. The final inspection gives you what's called a certificate of occupancy, which means you can then open your doors to people. So this is the last time the city has to be involved. And really, that is the only possible delay in any of this. And actually, the city came out earlier than expected last time. But the city is supposed to be out tomorrow to approve all of our electric. And if they are good to go on that, the rest of the drywall and sheetrock will be up Friday or Saturday. Monday, they plan to start texturing and painting. And then that'll quickly be followed by the floor, and we'll be good to go. The card bar officially started being built yesterday. Now it's not going to be as fast as Kentucky's. Kentucky was like a 2-day thing because I think that was all the contractor was doing on those 2 days. But it's actually my contractor who's building it. So it's actually going to take like a week or something to get done. But that started yesterday. We have a lot more definite plans. I know, Tracy, you're meeting with somebody tomorrow to iron out hopefully some more stuff that's going to be going in our shop that if that comes to fruition, maybe we can update y'all on the next podcast. But yeah, I mean, we're rocking and rolling. And, they said between March 25th and March 28th, somewhere in there, that it'd be finished. And it seems like we're assuming the city comes out tomorrow, we should be right on.
2 days
That's
from
2 days. That's insane.
5 days. Well,
March
between
25th.
2 and 5 days, yes.
Hey, Cody, just because our award-winning listeners can't see it on your face, can you give us a number scale 1 to 10 how excited you are?
Oh, I'm a 10. Like I think what a lot of people don't see necessarily on my end
is emotion.
The channels are kind of in the same. Yeah, that is emotion, and the channels are kind of in the same boat too. But like we came on in June of 2021, and I thought it was going to be rent a building and move in a few months, and it's obviously turned into a lot more than that. Some has been because of COVID, some have been because of supply chain issues. Obviously, you're getting building owners and contractors and city inspectors and a lot more going into it than just renting a building and moving in. So like, I don't know if like excitement is the right word for me. I think it's more of just like relief that I'm like walking into a building and like finally being able to see it take form just because of all we've been through in the past 6 to 8 months. I mean, we signed on my space either like mid-October, I think, somewhere in there. And it's been from mid-October to now March of it seems like delays and headaches and different things that we ran into. But I think relief would be the word that I would give our listeners as to the feeling that I'm finally getting. And then I'll also say like a lot of like anticipation to run my shop, like especially after being in Kentucky for a week. I'm just like amped up to like be in control of my shop and being able to have my customer base come in, because right now it's training with Trey's customer base. And, a lot of what Trey and David said is, well, you're going to get to know your customers. And obviously how you get to know your customers is going to frame a lot of what you do in your card shop. And I think that that's what I'm looking forward to most, especially after like the last week or so. So relief and anticipation are the two words that would probably describe my emotions currently.
I love it. You can be relieved all you want. I am giddy. I am ecstatic with it's just cool to see that. When I first took Cody's picture in the store the first time, it was just him in this big cavernous empty space. And now that you see walls being put up and plumbing put in, electrical security, it is absolutely fascinating. Stay tuned for more updates on that. Justin Ryan, California, what's happening, bro?
Yes, sir. Dude,
by the way, hold on. By the way, Cody's put New York and California on notice 100%. I mean, he's given specific like 2 to 5 day windows. What do you got?
Right, but he also doesn't give us the emotion that we get from some of the other shops. So it's a give and take.
some of the other shops.
Some of the other shops, meaning half, because I don't know, Trey kind of looks disinterested at times too, but
he looks good to me.
He looks
Trey
relaxed.
always looks good to me.
But like, I don't know, whatever. I mean, sorry, as you were.
Kelly, what's the update, bros?
I was gonna say.
we've got a few updates.
This is Justin, by the way.
This is Justin. Thank you, Cody. Thank you.
Thanks for knowing that.
You got to
Thank you for
lean
knowing
in
that.
too. Yeah, thank you. The thing for us was our electrical permit failed, as we'd all been reported. So getting the landlord had a electrician that she wanted to bring out, so he actually comes this Monday, so the 28th.
When
And
Cody's shop is supposed to be done.
that's right.
Right.
We're getting our electrical stuff done.
He's basically coming and just ripping out all the old electrical wires because they didn't pass, and we're putting in new ones that are like modern and
Covered with plastic, so they're not just live wires sitting there.
That's a novel concept.
Yeah. So getting all that figured out, and then we got the measurements for our special piece, which is cool. For
it's a
Finally.
that,
they know it's a mural.
no, the other special piece we got
The other
measurements.
special
for the
Oh,
vernacular.
right, okay.
You're gonna be floored when you see it. I'll just say that.
Absolutely, you're gonna be floored. There's new. We found another problem, if you will. There was an old what was it like AC or
yeah.
some
There was
kind of
like a cooling unit or something.
We call them challenges, by the way, not problems. So these are just
because you can overcome challenges. Yeah,
exactly right.
it's basically this big, air conditioning unit looking thing on top of the roof that was like making the roof sag. So
it was dripping.
No,
Right.
it was there because there used to be a restaurant there, and the restaurant needed it, so they had it removed.
So they just have to take it off the roof.
They just took
Yeah.
they straight up got it removed and then patched the roof. But the problem is now there's like a sunken in part
Underneath
where it was.
Got it.
So they're just going to make sure that when it rains, that sunken in area is not going to cause a leak. So they got to go inspect that and just make sure that it's okay. So that happened, which was really cool because we had like 3 big things that needed to happen this week, and they all happened. And then the last one was like as of a couple hours ago, we finalized the design with the muralist that we're working with. So we have a 60-foot mural being put into the shop above we're calling it, the hangout area. Similar to the Kentucky Roadshow, if you've been there, they have like a bench and a TV in the corner, kind of a similar looking area to that.
A 6x10.
Yeah, 6 feet by 10-foot mural is going above that area, and we're really stoked about it. It's going to pay homage to the Bay Area and a lot of really cool things.
Ryan and Justin, thank you for those updates. I know that people are anxiously awaiting more details, and I want to say both the California Roadshow and the New York Roadshow have pretty awesome plans for their murals. So it's stuff that you're going to want to watch as it develops, because both of them are pretty unique and will add a lot to the shops. Trey, Kentucky, huge week last week, I think. Kind of talk about what the highlights were for you personally.
So probably the biggest thing was the renovations that we closed for last Wednesday. That was big. We got our security gate put in, got the plywood pulled down, so all the natural light is back in. It's not a dark dungeon anymore. New door put in, all of that. It looks fantastic. It's not a small detail. I mean, this thing is gargantuan, but it's a smaller detail to the shop. That, number one, the cosmetic look of it is awesome. And then 2, the security, I mean, it's awesome. The guys that put that in have done an awesome job with it. The big thing is we had Chase and Cody there all last week. It was fantastic. The emotionless Cody had, I think, a lot of fun. Got to
my favorite part was when St. Peter's beat Kentucky.
My favorite part was you ate dinner by yourself for like 6 nights with Chase in your hotel room.
Wow.
But
I don't know which one of those stings more.
Yeah.
The first one for sure.
Chase and Cody were awesome. I think it was cool to get to see them interact in the shop. And it was kind of, I guess, Cody's really first time to get to experience, a full shop on a Saturday with people bringing in cards and kids being in there, full baseball teams. You've got people bringing in collections. So, Cody, what was it like?
Yeah, and I mean, apparently, in talking to David, it was super busy even for a Saturday because the high school state basketball tournament was actually going on at Rupp. So it seemed like in between games and everything, families, like full families, were coming down. There's like 3 kids, their parents, their grandma, their aunts, uncles, like everybody was there. So that was pretty. I mean, that was pretty crazy to see. I'll also say, like, all jokes aside, the impact that basketball has in the state of Kentucky is. It reminds me of a lot of like high school football in Texas. Like I walked down to Wheelers and Miss Brenda was there, and she was like, "It's game day!" Like, like super pumped up.
And then she's gonna skip out on her grandson's game at halftime of these
who's in the Sweet 16, who's in the Sweet 16 of the boys state championship in Kentucky, and said if she can't get service for the game, she's gonna have to leave at halftime.
All for her to watch Doug and St. Peter's come out and beat Kentucky in the first round.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, so that's wild. And like you saw, it was really eye opening because like not everybody, but like 80% of the people that came to the shop were all wearing their high school alma mater or their kid's school or wherever. So Tracy, being someone from Texas, you know how big high school football is here. It really reminded me a lot of that, and it was really just an overall great experience. Like I keep saying, I think it was good for me to like coming from a guy who's been in the industry for so long. I've never actually been like behind the bar of a card shop, like working a card shop, and it was definitely different than like my experience of going to shows or whatever. So definitely good, definitely eye opening. I think I took a bunch of things away. Like I definitely need like 2 points of sale for an example, because it seemed like me and Chase were always like passing iPads back and forth when it got super busy, and some stuff like that. But it was overall just an awesome experience. And because it was so busy, like David even said this at the end of the day, he was like, man, y'all got to see like one of everything. We had returns, we had people that wanted like partial cash and then credit card payments, like literally any scenario you could think of. I think we saw it on Saturday just because we were so busy, which was awesome. Gift card sales, people redeeming gift cards, like there was so much crammed into that Saturday, and it was awesome to be able to see like it's not as simple as just grabbing cards and ringing somebody up and they're good. So I can't express enough the gratitude that I have towards Trey, but also especially David for navigating us through that on that Saturday.
So what's one thing, like you were in there in our shop, and obviously like each shop's going to be different. You have your own customers. Like what's one thing that when you open your shop, what's one thing that you took away like from our shop that you want to do, and one thing that you want to do your own way, maybe do differently, or something new that you'd want to do in your shop?
So the 2 big different things that I really had were two points of sale, because I felt like it was like customers are coming up to me and Chase because we're both working, but if they're wanting to check out, there was only one location for them to actually check out at. So that's one. I think I want a point of sale on each side. And then another thing was, and Trey, I know you agree with this, is you've got to have more space between the wax wall and the card bar. Like I felt like I was like this, like turning around in there. So
especially if there's 2 or 3 people behind the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets really crowded really fast.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely when I went over my plans with the contractor this week, I was like, I had it at 4.5 feet. I want 6 feet. And he was like, 6 feet? I was like, yes. I don't care if it's too much. I need 6 feet between the back of the card bar and the front of the wax wall, just because of it's always better to have more room than to get in a position where it gets crammed in there. As far as things to do, I mean, really everything else like that Kentucky does, and just emulating it to the best of our ability and taking it from how we try to greet every customer that walks in the shop, which on Saturday got very difficult to do. And I think, David mentioned this, and I thought it was a good point, was that when you're busy and there's 25 to 30 people in the shop, people can see that you're busy. And 95% of the time, people aren't going to be upset that you're busy as long as you acknowledge them. And I think that's a big thing in the industry we're in, is just acknowledging people, and it's like just going to somebody and saying, hey, set your collection here, give me 30 minutes, I'll look at it and come, hang around the shop, let me come get you in the shop and tell you what we're thinking in the next 30 minutes. I got to help out other customers. Or when you see someone's waiting to check out, saying, hey, just a second, let me get this person over here, you'll be next. Like, it's just the little things like that Kentucky does such a good job of, and definitely want to try to emulate that. Like I said, other than the 2 iPads and the card bar depth, there's not really a whole lot that I'm not attempting to emulate from Kentucky.
And it's been the same, like with you being there and with the channels being there as well. Spending time with you all, we all have just like different perspectives and different ways that we view things. And like I was sitting in the back with you, and you said a couple ideas, and I was like, yeah, I mean, we're going to start doing that. That's actually a great idea. The same with the channels. When they were here, they would say, why don't you do it like this? And I'd be like, don't really know why, but that's a better idea. So it is kind of just about spending time with each other, seeing how we run a shop and improving on it, because everybody does everything at such a high level. It was good to watch Chase do things, because even in the first couple of days of me being back, I'm like, Cody did this like a really interesting way. Let me try this. Let me do this. So that's what I'm really excited about.
Teamwork makes the dream work. I don't know if you guys have heard that before.
No.
I think
Did you come up with that?
I mean, it just came to me. Like, I don't know. It's just listening to you guys talk, it just came to me. So, speaking of teamwork, I'm going to do a rough segue into what in the wide world of sports is going on in the NFL right now. Can somebody –
Marcus Mariota is back.
Can somebody please explain to me how maybe in the span of a couple of seasons the NFL has turned into the NBA with all the player movement? It is a bizarre world.
I think it was Adam Schefter sent out a tweet, and it was kind of like a picture of like all the guys that have changed uniforms. And correct me if I'm wrong if it wasn't Adam Schefter, but I'm pretty sure it was Adam Schefter or some big football account on Twitter. And they were basically like, is this the craziest offseason in NFL history? And when I first read the tweet, I was like, well, that's kind of a bold statement. But then thinking back, it's not like, Tracy, you're right. Like the NFL isn't like the NBA where players change teams fairly regularly. I would say it's not even to the level of Major League Baseball with how often players change teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very interesting to see like the new approaches, and it's not just players; it's teams. We saw it today with this episode's being recorded on a Wednesday, so we saw today Tyreek Hill being dealt to the Dolphins in exchange for picks, and it's just a matter of how teams are handling and maneuvering around the salary cap, and it's really interesting to see the evolution of the NFL happening like right in front of us.
You know where there's no movement though? The Titans quarterback situation. And I woke up this morning and Ryan Tannehill was still the quarterback of this team. And with that, I have zero faith going into this season. But all the other moves have been
Bobby
cool.
Trees though.
Yeah, true. To that point, Kev, while it has been a very entertaining offseason, the Cowboys have done nothing but go backwards. So.
Right. It's so funny how when we went into the offseason or like right before our Super Bowl chats on one of our early episodes, shout out to our fans who listened then.
Shout out to TJ Uzma.
We sort of, shout out to TJ Who's Your Mama. Good. He was almost the Super Bowl MVP, but he was the MVP in another regard by getting that old man to the Super Bowl by sending that video viral. But whatever. Point being, we were having the discussion that the AFC was going to be the Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes saga for the next 10 years and sign us up. And everybody was excited for that. And now all of a sudden, the AFC, I mean, look, we'll see when games start to be played, but like, it's looking like the Wild West out there now where every game is going to be a shootout and every game, who knows? I mean, there's now divisions that are just going to beat up on each other, specifically one division that has a couple of fans in this podcast.
Yeah.
where just all the teams on paper look amazing. And it's like, okay, we might not see that 13-14 win AFC team just because the schedules are going to be so tough. So it sort of it blew the AFC open. I don't know. I guess they're still playing football in the NFC. I don't really know.
Yeah, I just realized I'm the
going on
only
over there.
NFC fan, like on this podcast.
Right.
And if it wasn't for the Dallas Cowboys just put it in reverse and, you know, just demolishing all the Cowboys love to do this. They take 3 steps back or 3 steps forwards and immediately next offseason just run a mile in the opposite direction. But hopefully the NFC is weak enough that we can
I mean, I saw something today on ESPN with somebody who I'm sure we're about to talk about in detail, but Aaron Rodgers, if you look at his wide receiver core right now, they're with Valdez Scantling, or however, I'm sorry, I think that's his last name.
Yeah, that's right.
With him being a free agent as of today, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a wide receiver on his roster that had more than 500 yards last year. And so it's like the Green Bay Packers, who are supposed to be this NFC powerhouse, you know, Rodgers comes back and that team's looking kind of bare bones right now. So, I mean, Aaron Rodgers enough, you know, himself is enough to win you games, but like it's weird. And I do think that, you know, Cowboys fans, I've learned this, they react in extremes only, right? Like the Cowboys fans are either like, we're winning the Super Bowl, or we are the worst team, we should just send it in for the number 1 pick now. But like,
that's what we should do for next year, FYI.
Right, but the NFC right now, like I really legitimately think that the Cowboys roster, just with the skill position guys that you guys have, like
we just got manhandled by the Niners and we lost our number 1 receiver and potentially our number 1 defensive lineman, assuming Micah Parsons isn't a defensive lineman next year, which they'll probably put him at like cornerback or something.
I heard he was playing safety next season.
Probably. I mean, he'll be great at it, whatever it
is. Kevin, to your point on Aaron Rodgers, and this is a really hot take, but I like with sports.
Rogan.
People say like, oh, with Adams gone now, has it been Aaron Rodgers the whole time, or was it Devontae Adams? So will Rodgers be able to say they don't get a big wide receiver 1 or they don't do this? Is Rodgers talented enough, or is he the guy who is the big enough teacher to be like, I'm going to elevate everyone on my team around me and still produce those numbers? Or were those numbers the factor of having Devontae Adams on your team?
So that's fair, but at the same time, like Aaron Rodgers is already old to begin with, in football perspective, and he just maybe like, I don't know, was that a fake retirement, or like it wasn't a Tom Brady, but like
MVP?
I don't know what he teased, but yes, he's coming off an MVP season, but like I don't know. Go ahead, Trey. What do you got?
Like they're talking about bringing in other receivers for Rodgers. It is not something like it's so easy just to bring in new receivers for a quarterback and just get the timing down in one offseason when you've been with Devontae for 8 years and Jordy Nelson and all of this. People just think that Rodgers is just going to be able to bring in whatever receivers or draft Garrett Wilson or Olave or whatever, and then it's just going to all work out. So I'm a little worried that Rodgers isn't going to really be able to get used to new receivers by the time that the season rolls around, and then he's just gonna be pissed off again by the middle of December and want to go host Jeopardy again. Like it's
so. Let me take it one step further. Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is much younger, but now with all of the added competition, Russell Wilson, Herbert, you got to go, and obviously the Chargers adding all those weapons as well. I mean, you got to go up against some incredible teams, for the majority of the season. If you don't have that X factor or that difference maker, I mean, how big of a difference does that make? Because I mean,
to be fair, they have Tyreek Hill Jr. and Mecole Hardman. Like that dude could ball too. Like so,
he's fast, but
he's not.
Tyreek Hill is a different dude. And he made that like, I think you're going to see Travis Kelce not as wide open anymore because Tyreek Hill's not taking the top off the defense.
Exactly.
But I think
Jalen Waddle are create the two fastest wide receivers on any team.
Miami's going to be fun.
With Gesicki. Gesicki is my number one tight end next year, man.
I had to check the schedule to make sure the Raiders didn't play Miami next year.
Dude,
you know, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but
geez, of course the guy from Texas is going to get into conspiracy theories. Guys,
on his birthday.
Do you think that like Tom Brady was sitting at home completely planning on retiring, and then like his agent calls and is like, "Tom, look, the NFC is going to be awful." Like, I can't imagine. I haven't looked at Vegas odds or anything, but I can't imagine that as of this episode airing that the Buccaneers are not the favorite in the NFC currently.
They re-signed Leonard Fournette today too, so that sounds accurate.
And going back to the Packers situation for just a second, I think Rodgers is going to struggle, and I think Devontae is also going to struggle. Rodgers has done this without Adams. Like, he's played at the highest possible level without Adams. Adams has never played at the highest possible level without Rodgers. So,
and Derek Carr is awful. So
whoa!
I think they're both Look, Aaron Rodgers made Greg Jennings look really good, and Aaron Rodgers made Richard Rodgers look good. So he's one of those dudes like Tom Brady who can turn journeyman receivers into superstars or Super Bowl MVPs.
Tampa Bay is currently the second highest odds of reaching the Super Bowl,
behind
the Buffalo Bills,
and in third place,
the Tennessee Titans.
Who?
No,
the Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs are plus 750.
I was hearing all over the socials today that the Chiefs are the only team in the AFC West to have gotten worse during the free agency period because they lost Tyreek.
Yeah.
Tua, but what I was going to say about all these changes is that it's kind of scary good for the trading card market too, because now you've got all these new folks new fan bases interested in cards of their new favorite players. I mean, I went out and scoured the market for any Russell Wilson stuff I could find, even though he's not in a Broncos uniform yet. I'm sure that the channels are perfect examples of going out and buying all the Devontae Adams stuff. And
I didn't buy anything yet. I want to get cards of him when he's a Raider, but this guy scooped up
a ton of stuff. I love that he's 14 too, so all of his cards will match my Derek Carr PC, which I think that is so cool.
This is what we have to deal with here with the channels. It's really, really geeky in a good way. So I guess of all the moves that have taken place this kind of NFL free agency period, what's been the biggest one for each of y'all? Like the one that stands out the most?
I'll start. I think as an Alabama fan, the move for me is not actually a physical move, but all the moves that happened around it. And it's Miami's about face in the fact that Tua can be a starting quarterback in the NFL by basically going all in to put weapons around him to succeed. Like last season, his name was getting thrown around in every Deshaun Watson potential trade, like known to man. And I really thought that they were going to draft a quarterback to try something new, but nope, because they don't have picks anymore after Tyreek Hill. But that, I guess that's a cheap answer, but like that's what I'm most excited about
that's a good answer.
Is the moves that Miami has made to put their faith in Tua.
I will say Tua ended the season pretty strong last year.
He absolutely did, and I think that's what helped him keep his job and sort of force this push.
They used to name anybody that was a downfield threat for him his rookie season. He was throwing deep balls to Preston Williams and Albert Wilson. They go get Jalen Waddle, and it completely changes the way that he was able to play quarterback.
That's true.
Cody, biggest move so far?
So I'm going to take Kevin's lead on this and do a bias answer, which is going to be the inability for the Cowboys to sign Randy Gregory. And for those that don't know, they agreed in terms to a contract with Randy Gregory. And then apparently, like last second before it was signed, slipped something in. It's still unknown what was slipped in. It's been speculated that it was something that in regards to his off the field issues before, but it was like but they basically the Cowboys like put in his contract that like he couldn't do XYZ after already agreeing to terms. And then he gets a contract. It's like, hey, what is this? And about faces and goes to Denver for apparently the exact same money that the Cowboys offered.
Yeah. Well, man, it just goes that reiterated one more time that it's not really about anything other than the money. And there's no real loyalty. I mean, you've got your franchise players that stay with the same franchise forever. But, man, especially in free agency, if you have another team on the hook for the guy, and you got to lock him up because there's no loyalty.
That was like when the Titans signed Austin Hooper. Shout out to Austin Hooper. And they were like, what are you most excited about? And he was like, the offer. like the Titans must have been the only schmucks in the room who offered him a contract because he made it sound like, hey, okay, cool. Somebody wants me. Yeah, I'll sign. Like
no, he's a good tight end.
Moneyball.
No, I know he's a good tight end, but like at the same time, like way to make the franchise sound like, okay, cool. I guess I'll come here because they want to pay me. Like the Titans are an above average football team. Why don't people want to play for them? I don't get it.
Nashville's cool.
Channels. I think we know at least one of your answers, but biggest move.
For me, I mean, Devontae Adams was nuts, but also like Russell Wilson is just that. Like, I personally just wasn't
trying to get on Tracy's good side, bro. That's not the real answer. Like
Ryan, Ryan knows what he's talking about. There's no doubt.
I don't know nearly as much as football as I should, and that's actually something I was talking to Justin about this earlier today. Like, I'm really excited to once the shop is open to because 95% of my sports life is just basketball. I love basketball. And so I'm excited to once the shop opens to really dive, I want to be at the same level that I'm at with basketball, with football and baseball and and soccer, everything. It's all learning. So I'm excited about that. But definitely Russell Wilson for me is just that just seemed crazy.
That's awesome. Justin?
I mean, come on. It's Devontae Adams. And you gotta think of
paying him?
140 million, most expensive wide receiver of all time. But you got to think about this from the perspective of Derek Carr. I am so excited for him. He finally gets his guy. I mean, let's do a quick timeline here. We had Rod Streeter, Michael Crabtree, Seth Roberts.
Sorry, receiver.
Like Crabtree. Like Seth. No disrespect to Seth Roberts. I love Seth Roberts, but then we tried to get Antonio Brown, and there was that whole thing, and then there was Henry Ruggs. It's like, oh my goodness, Derek Carr finally, Amari Cooper, that whole thing. He how many balls did he drop? Horrible.
None for the Cowboys.
Yeah, well, but that was a huge problem with Amari Cooper on the Raiders.
We still didn't want him.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Carr finally gets
a 6th-round pick. Here you go. Perfect.
I'll
go accepting the first offer you hear.
For all of our listeners who haven't seen the highlights of Carr and Adams back at Fresno State, man, and that goes back to what Trey said earlier about having that connection with the wide receiver and the quarterback. I feel like Devontae Adams, his wife is pregnant, right? And so he's making the move to Vegas and this and that. Apparently Derek Carr was blowing him up like, come on, let's get out, let's throw. Come on, let's do this, let's do that. Like, let's get some reps in. And he's like,
sounds like a Derek Carr thing to do.
He's like, I'm still on the Packers. I can't. I got to sign my contract first.
New phone, who dis?
Yeah. I am over the moon excited about it because I really feel like this team is a playoff caliber team with the weapons now and all of that. And we saw it in Cincinnati, but you no disrespect to Zay Jones, but the last play of the game, you have Zay Jones to throw the football to. I mean, it's like, imagine if it was Devontae Adams, they probably would have won that game. I mean,
or he would have been double covered at that point. But let's
leaving
just
Zay Jones wide open.
let's just like timestamp that one. The Raiders are a playoff caliber team. And
Oh,
when
bet
we
on it.
fast forward in our time machine and they have 3 wins this coming season. No, I'm
They,
kidding.
No.
they literally were in the playoffs.
Right, but that's only because they didn't agree to the gentleman's handshake.
I think the Cowboys are only going to have 3
the
wins
last
this season.
game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Going back before we get to Trey's pick from over the offseason, going back to what you were saying, Kev, the competition is going to be so intense in the AFC that a team that we think is going to go 13-4 might go like 5-12 or something because of the way the schedule falls, or you just never know. And more every year in the NFL, new teams are making the playoffs. Once dominant teams are falling out. So it's going to be just fascinating to watch.
Who's the crossover division for you guys? Like, I know you play within your division, but what's the other division that you guys play? Because like if it's the Titans division, like that's another.
I think it's us.
Yeah, everybody's just.
I know we played the
Usually
Chiefs.
it's which division are the Colts in?
The
That's
Saints
us.
division.
Yeah, that's the same as you guys, right?
So congrats, you get Trevor Lawrence and Davis Mills and Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
And Matty Ice, bro.
Yeah, it's true.
Nobody
Trey,
talked about him and his
what's your
huge
biggest
contract.
What's your biggest offseason
Give it to
move?
him, Trey.
I mean, the biggest one is that the 2014 Heisman Trophy winner, the second overall pick of the 2015 draft, one of the only guys to catch a touchdown that he threw in
The only guy
against a Patrick Mahomes Chiefs team that obviously Mahomes wasn't starting, but the GOAT Marcus Mariota is back as a starting quarterback in the NFL, and I'm
After
so
training
excited.
under Derek Carr.
Yes, after training under Derek Carr, deserving to start the last 2 years, gets his
Learned
own
nothing.
spot. And I'm so excited because he's going to have cards again in sets, which is going to be awesome. But that's not the biggest one. It's actually interesting. I think the biggest one is Von Miller to the Bills, because I felt like the Bills were the team that was closest to going into the season. If all the rosters stayed the same, I would have taken the Bills to win the title. So why not just add Von Miller on an insanely long 6-year contract, but put him in there, put him on your defensive line that was already dominant, and now you have Von Miller in there. And they made some other really good moves as well. But like, I loved that. I love that the Bills were like, we're not going to do too much. We're going to do just enough, improve the defense, and still be the best team in the AFC, I think.
Fun fact on that, he now joins also Texas high school football legend in Ed Oliver. So Bob Miller and Ed Oliver, 2 of the most dominant pass rushers in Texas high school football history are now. Quick story for y'all. Ryan, I want you to leave it in, but if Tracy says cut it, that's fine. So I do high school football radio broadcasting, right? And I've been doing it for a long time, but this is back in 2006, so it's only my 2nd year of doing it. And I go down with our play-by-play guy, and we're interviewing the high school. We're playing in the high school that Von Miller went to. And we're interviewing the coach who had just announced the day before that he was suspending Von Miller for violating team rules. And the play-by-play guy asked the head coach of DeSoto, are you worried about Cedar Hill's offense against your defense lacking Von Miller? And the coach said, he said something along the lines of, Von Miller doesn't make a difference on our team. He's not a difference maker, and we don't need him to win the football game. And then we beat him by like 30-something points. And it was just like, dude, like Von Miller at this stage had already broken every record, every sack record in Texas high school football history. And that coach was also fired shortly after that statement. So, but yeah. So anyway, moral of the story is Ed Oliver and Von Miller, 2 Texas high school football legends, joining forces in Buffalo on the defensive side of the ball.
Tracy, what was your move of the offseason?
Oh, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it should be unanimous. I don't know what all you guys are talking about. Russell Wilson's a Denver Bronco.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Deshaun Watson.
No, that's don't try to massage it. Don't try to massage your segue. Okay, just Russell Wilson, and by the way, go check out Dangerous Wilson's social handles.
Dangerous. Yeah.
Dangerous Wilson, and he has his own production crew on his own practice field with his logo, where he's throwing in a Broncos helmet and a Broncos practice shirt to Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick. It is so sexy, and it's must-see stuff. So you have to go watch it.
Nice.
Yeah, it is nice. It's damn nice.
Every time I read the word Russell Wilson, I read it in your voice. I just can't.
Perfect. And by the way, me and my sons helped send his jersey to the #1 seller list this last week because we all ordered our 3 Wilson jerseys. So
nice.
Stay tuned for that in a future podcast episode. Can we get just real quick? I know we've been doing this for a while now, tonight, and for 9 weeks now. What new releases are we looking for this week in the shop? Trey, go.
UFC Prism. Period.
Whoa. Wow.
Boom.
All right. UFC Prism.
You
Sounds like
sound
a
really
knockout.
excited about that.
Yeah. I think it's a 200 card set. It's got a really good checklist, really good rookie checklist. It's not going to be the strongest rookie on the checklist long term, but I know it's got Patty on it.
And the great thing about the UFC, I think Cody and I talked about this watching fights, is like in the NFL or the NBA, like the market is so quick, and like if you lose a series, then your values plummet until next season or whatever. In the UFC, if a guy has a big performance, you've got 3 months to ride that momentum, and then he fights again. And if he keeps winning, you measure the momentum that you have in months and not in games or in days. And that's
days.
Yeah, that's an advantage for the UFC market, I think.
Yeah, and kind of a disadvantage though, and Kevin actually brought it up, is Shuey, as I like to refer to him as.
Tua?
I don't butcher his name. Doesn't have a card still in
Right.
Prism, and I think that's going to be something that
Yep.
a lot of I think that's going to be something that like Panini's going to take heat for. Is him?
That's that's point blank period. That's a missed opportunity.
Is he not on the 2022 checklist?
No, but
No.
to their defense, like these products are planned so far in advance. Like, sure, he was winning fights 12 months ago or 16 months ago or 18 months ago, but like the popularity wasn't near what it was today. And had he lost along that way, I don't think there would be much controversy of him not.
I'm gonna hit you with the double-edged sword here, right?
That's gonna cut somebody.
I would consider myself a casual UFC fan, right? Like I'm by no stretch a diehard. I know the guys. I know enough. I watch most of the big fights. I'm not here watching, the non-pay-per-view unless nothing else is on, right? Like it is what it is. But what I'll say is, with America in general, and specifically the card collecting market in this here, the folks who are diehard UFC fans aren't necessarily the ones who are jumping into the set, right? It's card collectors looking to ride the next wave to a degree, right?
Well, I think to that point too, though, I think a lot of card collectors are now becoming UFC fans.
Correct. Oh, absolutely. It's a two-way street, definitely. But the point being here is UFC doesn't necessarily, as a brand, do a great job of A, marketing their own people, and B, building stars, right? Like it's Sean O'Malley. You can argue he's being built as a star. He's also not fighting anybody who's remotely good, right? But
I mean, that's kind of part of they're trying to ride that wave, right? Like,
right. But it seems like it's only happening with him. But the point being is, regardless of whether Ty was, wildly popular or whatever, if UFC sees a dude drinking out of a shoe, I'm sorry, not UFC, if Panini sees a dude drinking out of a shoe after a win, you literally put the picture of him drinking out of a shoe on a Prism card, and fan or not, that becomes one of the most sought after Prism cards in the set.
Tracy, you're probably the biggest, I'm not going to say probably, you're for sure the biggest UFC fan and follower on this podcast.
Ryan's a pretty big fan. I don't know.
When did he first, like, I don't want to say first show up on the scene, but like when did he first start getting the attention that then led him to the Derek Lewis fight?
I mean, he's been a something of a staple on main cards for 3 or 4 years. But he really turned the narrative around when he initially came out and said he doesn't really care about winning a title. He just wants to fight and drink beer out of his shoe if he wins. And then he started putting impressive wins together, and the shoey just took a life of its own. And I think, to Kevin's point, it wasn't a Prism card, but didn't Panini Instant do a shoey card of him?
Yes. Panini.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is,
so that's all the more reason why it's weird that he's not in Prism then.
Yeah,
but that's the thing is that like Prism Instant is developed like the day after something happens, where like UFC Prism 2022 has probably been for like 16 months, 17. Like,
and to Trey's point too, you can definitely tell that the product developers, Lucas and Brandon and those guys who worked on that product, were really intent on getting a bunch of RCs in there, because there's quite a few dudes and ladies that I don't have really any idea of who they are, and I watch everything. So, which is probably a good play on their part to generate more rookie cards. Oh, I could talk UFC all night. Finally, I know we brought this. I'm bringing this up last, but it's certainly not least. Is there is a monumental show this weekend, the Mint Collective, the inaugural edition of the Mint Collective, which is
annual.
Yeah, well, it's not annual yet.
The first annual Mint Collective.
Next year will be the second annual, but it kind of merges industry summit type elements, big corporate panels and executives with a card show element. And
shout out to Peyton Manning, confirmed speaker, former Denver Bronco.
Cool. So jealous. Very cool.
Super Bowl champion for the Broncos, by the way. So me and Jimmy Mahan, our fearless leader, and Brian Fillmore will be making the trek to Vegas to kind of check it out, visit with people, see what it's all about. So you're going to want to stay tuned next week when we have kind of a recap, because I'm excited about it. And I hope that you all are as well.
I will say, me and Kevin kind of talked about this earlier, is that in all the year, and I've thought about this since we talked, in all the years being at Beckett or Panini, and Tracy, I want to get your input on this too. I don't remember an event having this kind of like head of steam behind it. Like, obviously the National is a different animal, right? So let's take the National out of it. The National is going to be huge. It's always huge. It's always the event of the year. But like, it really seems like this Mint Collective has really gone from, oh, it's a industry event in Vegas, to now it's just become a whole different animal where everybody that is part of the industry is going to be part of it in some shape, form, or fashion. Is there something like this that's comparative? Because I can't really think of anything. I know it's comparative to the industry summit, but like it's not just card execs. It's everybody in the hobby trying to seemingly coming together for all.
Do any of you know off the top of your head how many tables? Because there's a show too.
Yeah, there's a show component. I can honestly say, and I'm super excited, and I know what panels Jimmy's on, and like I've seen like the confirmed speakers, which are posted daily. I kind of want to see like a hangover moment where they just let us all loose in Las Vegas, and
we're going
just
to AC,
see what happens.
And we're staying at the Motel 4 or whatever.
Not the Motel 4.
One of
the Motel 4.
The show, though,
they
was,
don't leave the light
here
on.
In all caps.
They turn the light off for you.
Motel 4. They turn the light off at 9 p.m.
Like,
it's going to be
Motel
4. There is no
PSA 9.
It's going to be a unique kind of first of its kind. There's not often you get to be on the kind of the ground floor of something like the Mint Collective. So Jimmy and I and Brian are going to kind of kick the tires, meet some people, but Jimmy is on a panel, the future of the hobby shop. I can think of no better person to be on that panel than Jimmy, with a pretty star-studded list of guests, including Chris Costa from a Card Vault and Costa Cards, Grayson from Cherry in Australia, and Mitch Gutenberg from the Bullpen in LA. And that's been moderated by Christina from Card Ladder. So I think that's going to be awesome. I think meeting people that we need to meet and talk to is going to be awesome. And but you're right, Kevin. I think there is an air of mystery around what it is exactly. And I think hopefully all the answers we'll start getting starting Friday.
Do you guys need our professional headshots for marketing materials for Jimmy to hand out during the panel, or like
They're just
should I
huge
send
8x10 black and white.
should I
Yeah,
should I
there's
send
Autographed
should,
8x10s.
should I send them to David? Like, what should I be doing with that?
Just send those to me, to my attention.
Okay,
I'll give you
deal.
my Vegas address, the hotel that I'm staying in, that address. and you can-
Beautiful.
He
And
gets
I'll
a
distribute
month
them.
every year at MGM.
If I don't get a picture of Jimmy shirtless at a club holding a PSA 10 like LeBron rookie, this trip was a failure. That's all
The
I'm gonna
auction.
say.
the auction. And the channels are going to be there too, I hear. So
Yeah.
that's going to be
Definitely.
and the stuff that the channels do in the auction. It stays
Hey,
in the auction.
Hey. So we'll be around. We'll be doing deals.
He almost got hit by a car last time.
I almost got. I'm not kidding. I almost
Clay
died.
Thompson.
I almost died on my way to a Tiesto concert. So
Oh,
that yeah.
it's the priorities. The priorities.
Disney
Wait,
We really got to
hold on.
revisit this stuff.
The most important question is, did you graph them afterwards, bro?
Well, I was actually so close. I almost graphed him during the set. I'm not even kidding.
God,
It was a whole thing.
well,
Not a whole thing. It wasn't even.
It was.
He didn't even have a Sharpie. That was the
Come
problem.
on. But he was right there.
Oh,
You
you guys are
guys-
so close.
But anyway,
So to that note, the first thing, I kid you not. So Justin flies down for the Dallas show, right? We walk into the Dallas show, which huge show, focused on cards, whatever. We walk in. Does anyone want to take a guess as to what Justin's first words to me were?
Where's
When we
the
walk
autograph
in?
sign?
Holy smokes, or
No,
something like
he's-
that.
no,
he
G.
said-
Willikers?
Do you want to go grab
He said-
Luca tonight? Is that what
He
he
said,
said?
Cody, do you have a Sharpie on you? That was his first word.
So disappointed.
So-
Yeah, so disappointing.
Wait, I
So
need to know
guess
why
if we were
now.
to run into someone famous walking the show floor, like Drake, I guess.
yeah.
Maybe next
Yeah.
time.
You always got to keep that
Appearing-
thing on you. You know what I'm saying?
Appearing today in Allen, Texas, Drake.
Drake. But it's the guy from Drake and Josh. It's the guy from the Disney show that
He's
Stop.
he's
He's a
in
legend.
jail.
No,
He's a
sorry.
legend.
He's not allowed around card shows within 500 feet.
But in all seriousness, I am pumped for the idea of the Mint Collective, and I think this could be a smashing success.
Wow.
Smashing.
That's
That's
a-
a ringing endorsement
It
right
is.
there.
No, I
think
really
from a-
do think so. I think
Well,
Go ahead.
from a content standpoint, I think the Mint Collective is in a very unique unique position.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how that goes.
So I asked this
Well-
earlier, but Tracy, do you know if these panels are going to be live anywhere? Like on
So I
Cody,
think
nobody cares about your question.
they are going to.
apparently no one cares about your shop.
We're all friends here. I think they are going to create content from the panels, but you've got IMG and Collectible kind of coming together to back this thing. So
They're
it's
about to
kinda-
charge a pay-per-view rate to like watch the panels. Like they're gonna
Yeah.
hide it behind a paywall. Like
I can tell you where you'll absolutely find panel footage is on the Roadshow Cards social media accounts.
nice.
Hey.
Nice.
But one of the
plug.
things that Collectible's doing throughout the show is they're having their own like a collectible content stage, and you can go and create content that they will send to their people, their followers, but they'll also send it to us so that we can use it already edited. So it's a pretty interesting concept that I've never really seen before at a show.
like it.
So a lot to still unwrap with the Mint Collective, but this has been awesome. This is there's a lot of stuff to unpack in this episode. So if you need to go back and re-listen, rewatch it, we completely understand. We appreciate you being here, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us again. I love you guys. We love y'all, and we'll see you soon.
Happy birthday, Cody.
See you guys.
Hey.
Happy birthday, Cody.